the Trump administration announced Tuesday that it would partially lift the U.S. arms embargo on Cyprus, a move that has angered Turkey, now, which is historically, of course, at odds with the Greek Cypriots. It's also added to the sense of tension in the Eastern Mediterranean. Our senior international affairs correspondent Owen Alterman brings us the latest on a high-stakes fight between Athens and Ankara that's focused in part on one Greek island.
In the harbor on Castellarizo, the fishing boats bob by the piers. The military ships are not far away, as this tiny speck of paradise threatens to ignite a war, with Greece and Turkey continuing to clash over rights to the natural gas that lies underneath the Eastern Mediterranean. The harsh words from Turkey keep on coming.
We are tired of these shadow games. It is comical how nations are trying to throw a state that cannot even help itself as bait in front of a regional and global power like Turkey.
At issue, who has rights in these waters? By Greece's telling, Castellarizo is the coastline of Greece, and like any inhabited island, can be a starting point to draw an exclusive economic zone. In this case, taking in a huge swath of the Mediterranean. Turkey objects, arguing that more important than a tiny island is a long coastline of a true landmass.
Greece wants a 40,000 square kilometer continental shelf for a 10 square kilometer island. So the real problem in the Eastern Mediterranean is this: Greece demanding maximalist requests in a manner violating international law and wanting to imprison Turkey in a narrow area in the Aegean and the Mediterranean.
We're urging everyone to stand down, to reduce tensions, and begin to have diplomatic discussions about the conflicts that exist there in the Eastern Mediterranean, the security conflicts, the energy resource conflicts, the maritime conflicts.
Many argue that Greece has the better claim under international law. But this dispute probably will not be decided in court. It will be decided at the negotiating table. Or by war.
Well, joining us now for more on this issue from Jerusalem is Gabi Mitchell, Director of External Relations at the Mivim Institute. Gabi, thanks for joining us. Now, look, on one hand, you could sympathize or say at least Turkey might have some legitimate claims here in the Eastern Mediterranean, concerns about resources. On the other, excuse the pun, Ankara seems to be really increasing the pressure recently on this issue. So what is really, put us a little in the mind of certainly President Erdogan. Is it just about the gas, or there are other political factors involved here?
There are definitely a myriad of factors that are influencing President Erdogan's decisions. We have to look at the last decade. Over the last decade in the Eastern Mediterranean, there have been a number of countries, including Israel, that have made offshore natural gas discoveries. Those countries have been working in tandem with one another, hoping to export their gas together in order to reap the commercial benefits. Turkey has been a party of some of those conversations. Turkey and Israel negotiated the prospect of a pipeline as late as 2017. But right now, Turkey's on the outside looking in. It has a long history of grievances, both with Greece and with Cyprus. And I think it's important to remember that the disputes between the parties over maritime delimitation and access to the sea is one that spans many, many decades. But it also has recent grievances both with Israel and with Egypt over Turkey's positioning within the Sunni world and supporting actors like Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood. So Turkey has a number of issues with a lot of the actors in the region, and Erdogan is trying to play spoiler. He understands that there are a number of countries who are trying to cooperate, maybe intentionally leave Turkey out, or perhaps just working with who they can work with best. And so he's trying to essentially guarantee that either Turkey gets a piece of the pie or that nobody eats it all.
Right. Israel is not a party, at least in this most recent conflict or spat between Greece and Turkey. But it does definitely have a dog in his fight, doesn't it? I mean, because you mentioned Israel collaborating with some of these countries involved, Greece and Cyprus, and also hoping to build a pipeline to bring that Eastern Mediterranean gas to Europe, one that it looks like Turkey is trying to position itself to choke off.
I think that certainly after the outbreak of coronavirus and the crash of the global energy market, the EastMed pipeline is more of a political project than a realistic commercial endeavor. Still, Israel's cooperation with Greece and with Cyprus, enhancing naval cooperation, cyber cooperation, and so on and so forth, has positioned Israel at a point in which it is more willing to take a position in support of its Eastern Mediterranean neighbors. At the same time, on August 13th, when there was a second round of disputes between Greece and Turkey, and they both sent their fleets into the Aegean Sea, Israel at that point did make a strong statement in support of Greece, but kept the door open for negotiations and for conversation with Turkey. It's difficult to ignore Turkey in the Eastern Mediterranean. It is one of the most significant military and economic actors. And so Israel is trying to find that fine balance between supporting its partners while keeping the option open for dialogue with Turkey.
Right. We saw briefly Secretary Pompeo talking about dialogue. Let's keep in mind, these are Greece and Turkey, two NATO members. Would be unprecedented for them to have a violent conflict. Should the U.S. be stepping up? The Trump administration be sort of stepping up, maybe take a bigger role in trying to mediate between these sides?
In the confluence of interests, Turkey does serve some American interests in the region. Turkey, of course, is heavily involved in Syria. Turkey is supporting the UN-supported side in the Libyan conflict. And the United States does have areas of cooperation with Turkey, which I think is part of the reason why the United States is asking for the parties to engage in dialogue, but hasn't necessarily stepped up its efforts. Now, it's possible after November 3rd, regardless of who wins the election, that the administration will take more interest in what's taking place in the Eastern Mediterranean. But right now, other developments, such as the developments in the Gulf, are of more interest and of greater interest to the United States. It is important to clarify that there is a difference between the executive and legislative branches in Washington, D.C.
Right.
Congress has...
We'll have to wrap it up, Gabi. I'm sorry. We'll have to probably end on that point. But, of course, it's a rich subject. Gabi Mitchell from the Mivim Institute, thank you for joining.